put the card face down. Don't flip the card over until after we say your name. When we flip it over, stand up, read the number. Read the name out loud, or the question out loud, and then answer the question, and then sit down. Do exactly as they say. Don't flip the card over, don't stand up first, don't read the question in your head and then answer it out loud. They don't know what the question is. Don't reiterate the question. Do exactly as they say.
Missing someone with all your heart. Missing someone with heart. And what you missing?
Good morning. I just woke up not too long ago and I cannot even believe what happened to me yesterday. I'm still slightly in shock, but I'm thinking more in the positive side, and I'm a lot more real today. So I am going to flight attendant training in Dallas sometime in March. That's happening. But enough of that. I want to give you guys a rundown of my overall experience, pros and cons, some tips. I have 15 of them, and I'm gonna give you some key things to do. So depending on how long this video gets, I may just add this to its own blog. If not, then I'll just add it to the end of the existing one. So basically, guys, the people, like, regardless of what happened and happens, if you go to this training or whatever, or not interview, sorry, regardless of what happens, the people were so incredible. Like, the candidates, like I mentioned, they were so nice and so supportive and so communicative and so intelligent and so beautiful. And I think that that made for a difference, because I've been in group interviews before, definitely not to this quantity, but or intensity, but definitely have been in group interviews before, and I can tell you, this was so, like, wonderful. Like, the people were good. I mean, the people that were just trying to get the position, they were all great, but then also, like, the recruitment team, because they were all flight attendants, they were all so great too. So if you're watching this and you were either a candidate or you worked the entire interview process, shout out to Yuri. She's a flight attendant for this airline. She's fantastic. She was the best flight attendant recruiting host that I have, well, only had, but the best I could imagine there is. But yes, the people, like bar none, best thing about this experience. Also, the positivity. Like, there was so much happiness. Nobody, like, even if they realized, like, they had come to the end of their road or whatever, they still remained positive. The recruiters were just, like, such happy people. And I know fake happy from genuine happy, and I get, like, you have to be happy for this position, but they didn't have to be for just an interview process. If they didn't want to be, they could be a little bit more stern and try to be more serious, but they chose to be happy. So their positive energy made the questioning part a lot easier for people like me, especially those that care a lot about this. And if you're going into this, obviously you really want it, so having that positive outlook is always good. Also, most of the time, there were a lot of opportunities to shine. There were opportunities to speak. There were opportunities to tell them who you were and give them some type of information about you. And it happened more than I expected it to. So that was a big plus, especially when you're dealing with the mass amount of people that there were. Again, I'm not gonna go into detail too hard just because I don't wanna, like, get in trouble for anything. But yeah, just, if you find yourself at an interview for an airline that's based in Dallas, Texas, then yeah, you will have plenty of opportunity to speak, plenty of opportunity to share, plenty of opportunity to be you. Also, I would say that the knowledge of the recruiters was, like, so great. They knew everything because most of them had been doing this for years upon years upon years. So I would say that they were probably one of the best parts about the experience. They were just so informative, and they really cared to give you the right information, not just like the basic information, like where are the bases, how much did you get paid? Like, of course they gave you that information, as anybody would expect that from a new position in any career. But they were just so personal and personable about what they were saying, how they were saying it, and what their experiences were. But also, I think another pro is that it was very informational. They gave so much information. So, you know, I took a lot of notes. I know who their names were. I knew where they were based, because eventually, if I were to get that position, I was thinking, you know, I need to know who these people are. These are connections. This is an opportunity to network. So I did that. So that's pretty much the pros. I mean, it's an interview. I mean, it's not going to be the best thing in the world, but they did make it the best that they possibly could have. I feel like they really, really, really worked on developing the process. The cons. So I have to go into the cons. There were a lot of cons as well. With everything, there's going to be both, but this process is so long. I started my day at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's when my alarm went off, I think. I'm sure you see that in the video, but 5 o'clock in the morning, and it went all the way until I didn't get home until the next day. And the flight to Dallas and from Dallas to Greensboro is only about 2 hours and some change. So only 4 hours of my day was spent on a plane. The rest of it was interview. So this interview process was scheduled to be about 5 hours, and for me, it ran into almost 8. So that was very rigorous for me. I mean, I hadn't been in a situation like that since I graduated from college, and I had gone to interview with a retail store to merchandise their store in Philadelphia. I went there and came back in the same day on my own expense, which was ridiculous, and I ended up getting the job and turning it down anyway. But even that, like, just the flying part wasn't the problem. I mean, you're sitting on the plane. It's like you have to be 100% present this entire time. So super long day. You are going to be extremely nervous. Everything about the process is nerve-wracking. Like, the recruiters are nerve-wracking, the competition's nerve-wracking, as positive and great as they are. When they're walking around, like, taking notes of you and seeing if your, you know, like, demeanor changes or whatever, that's terrifying. It's never fun to be in a room with 6 people, 7 people, 10 people, whatever it is, waiting to answer a question, or having like randomized questions, or having to think on the spot. Like, these are things that I had a feeling were gonna happen, and you know, it was just different, and it was so nerve-wracking, and I'm not normally the nervous type of person. I interview really well usually, and yeah, so obviously I did something right. Also, I think like another con was that for the majority of the time at this interview, you were left in the dark, which I understand from the recruitment standpoint why they would do that, but you were not informed of anything. Not like really, you just kind of were like sitting there waiting for the next step, and if you made it to the next step, and if you were gonna get the next thing, and if you were gonna have the next opportunity. And the in-between time was not only nerve-wracking, but it was just so, like, I literally felt nauseous, like just sitting there thinking like, oh my God, is this gonna work? Am I gonna like ever get to this point of being able to just not be in a group with a whole bunch of people? So also, you are going to be like, not even just like physically exhausted, but you're gonna be mentally exhausted throughout this. And that was a challenge. That was definitely a con, is that it was exhausting. It was mentally draining, physically draining, emotionally draining. It was just draining. So keep that in mind. Also, I think another thing too is that they expected on-demand type questioning. So the expectation there was that, you know, you don't have a lot of time to think about anything. You just don't. So keep that in mind if you are going forward. So with that said, I'm gonna give you 15 tips. These are my 15 tips. Number 1, dress the part. I can't say this more clearly, there were at least a dozen that really did not look like a flight attendant. And I in terms of like the way, especially my fashion background and the information I know to be about the brand and what they look for at this airline, you know, they just didn't look the part. And I think that at the end of the day, if you don't look the part, chances are they're not going to believe that you will ever be in that position, because you really have to look like something in order to be seen as something. And I think that that's important. So look like a flight attendant. Do exactly as that airline's appearance standards suggest. Don't try to deviate too much. Just be a flight attendant. At the same time, tip number 2, be different. Like for me, I wore a gray suit, I wore a red tie, I wore a baby blue shirt, and I had a bag that was like leather and snazzy and all this other things. And I took the risk of keeping the beard, and all of these things paid off. And there were a couple of others. There were girls wearing white jackets and girls that were wearing navy blue pantsuits. And then there were girls wearing, well, majority of girls wearing black, like pencil skirts with pantyhose and black heels and black blazer and white shirt, and all that's fantastic, and it's professional, and you are doing exactly what you should be doing in an interview. I think that there are so many of them, and it's so competitive, that just wearing something that's slightly different, that isn't too different, pays off. Because even the males were wearing black suits or like navy suits, or it just looked too cookie cutter. And I know that that's what they look for when you're on the position and you're trying to look the same across the board. They want that uniformity, but this is not a time to be uniform. This is a time to be you. So keep that in mind. Rule number 3, be yourself. Do not be fake. There were a lot of people at my interview that continue to answer questions like a robot, or say things that were super general, like I love flying, or I love doing this, and I love customer service. They know that you like to fly. If you didn't like to fly, you wouldn't be applying to be a flight attendant. So just be yourself, smile, have fun, show them your personality. Don't think so hard about it. Like, I didn't question when I was like laughing at certain things. It wasn't fake. If I didn't think it was funny, I didn't laugh. If I was smiling with my teeth because it was something I thought was really genuinely like a happy thing, I was smiling for genuineness. I wasn't smiling just to be like, oh, look at them, like, watch me smile. It wasn't like that. And I think that when you could tell the ones that were in the interview and they were just like gleaming and it looked like a Cheshire cat, it just didn't come across as, you know, personal. It just, it felt very, I don't know, weird. So don't do that. However, in retrospect, don't not smile. So smile. There were some people who would like just sit there with this stern, serious face, and you could see how the recruiters were concerned about the face. They really were looking for that joyful, happy optimism, and not in a fake way, but at least it existed. And some people were just like sitting there like, and I get you're tired. Like, I get you want to take your shoes off. I get you want to take your jacket off. My tie was choking me the whole time. My stomach was growling. I felt like I was gonna like faint, but they didn't know that because I continued to be myself and to smile genuinely. Also, don't let what happens, this is tip number 5, don't let what happens to you or what's happening around you distract you from being positive. There were so many times and instances where you could tell that certain individuals were not moving forward in the process, and there were a lot of people that got too emotionally connected, or they were just not staying upbeat, not necessarily smiling, but like their energy kind of started to die. So keep your energy up, stay positive, stay optimistic. That helped a lot. They wanted to see who could handle it. Number 6, this is a big one. Regardless of where you're interviewing, not even a flight attendant job, if you're just watching this just because, but if you are going to specifically be, interviewing for a flight attendant position, I think this is so important. It is imperative for you to know the company that you are working for. You need to know their values, and you need to know their company culture, because these questions are extremely important. So yeah, extremely important to know the company, know what it is that they stand for, and know how it is that you relate to that company. There were a lot of times in the interview process where people simply just hadn't done their research. As simple as it is, they just didn't do it. So do your research. Number 7. This is a huge one. I cannot, it's so funny. I say this over and over, I feel like, to myself. And it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's really a no-brainer. And they will even tell you in the beginning, this is something that we already know. And I've already said this, but number 7 is, do not say that you want to travel. Hello, people. Do not say that. I could see the recruiters' faces when this statement would be made, and it got made countless times during this process. And you could just see their face drop. Like, you had an opportunity to say something about yourself, and you said something that represents the entire group of individuals at this, recruitment session. So just don't do that. When they say, why do you want to be a flight attendant? Relate it to the company, relate it to you, relate it to something. Don't relate it to that. Just relate it to something that, that has to do with the airline or something to do with your personality. Number 8, be patient and hang in there, because tapping your foot or twiddling your thumb or moving your body or all this stuff is a sign. It's a body language thing of saying oh my gosh, I don't want to be here no more, or I can't wait 3 seconds to go to the bathroom, or whatever it is. You're gonna get an intermission to pee. You are going to get time to breathe. You're going to have plenty of time waiting for recruiters to deliberate. So use that time to breathe and to think, and to not, to calm yourself down so you're not so nervous. Don't tap your foot in front of 3 recruiters in an interview session. Just don't do it. Be patient and stay hanging in there. Number 9, oh my gosh, this one right here, guys, you know what? I just don't understand. Follow directions. I don't know how difficult it could possibly be for a group of individuals to simply follow directions. I was in so many situations where I was observing people who were simply not following directions. As an example, not necessarily what you'll go through, but for instance, if I said, okay, I'm gonna hand you a card. Put the card face down. Don't flip the card over until after we say your name. When we flip it over, stand up, read the number. Read the name out loud, or the question out loud, and then answer the question, and then sit down. Do exactly as they say. Don't flip the card over. Don't stand up first. Don't read the question in your head and then answer it out loud. They don't know what the question is. Don't reiterate the question. Do exactly as they said. So, and that goes for multiple things. If they say, don't have your cell phone out, don't get your cell phone out. Follow directions. It's that simple. Number 10. Don't break your character, because they're always watching. These recruiters are going to be like sharks in the water. They will watch you like hawks. They are looking for every single time that you stop smiling, that you stop being happy, that you're shaking your leg, that you're not interacting, and they're taking notes of this. And I think this is imperative like so imperative. Second to knowing the culture, this is so important because this is everything. A majority of the time is spent together, not separated out. So yeah, don't break your character. When they're asking other people questions, don't stop smiling. Don't stop being happy. You're there. Commit. Number 11, get to know the recruiters. It helps. When I was greeted by the first so many recruiters or whatever, I made an effort to know their name. I found something about them that was exactly what I would remember them for. Like, oh, so-and-so has a scarf on that looks like this, or so-and-so is wearing a jacket that has this color or has a specific feature or whatever, and I recognize the name. So later you can bring those people up when they ask you things like, how was your experience with this, or whatever, you know, you can say those things and you can make them know that you acknowledged who took the time to be there with you to even interview you, and that you took, you know, an interest in someone else. So that's important, especially as a flight attendant. So get to know your recruiters. Also, if you're left alone in a room with any recruiter, it happens. You're in the hallway with them, you're in the bathroom with them, whatever it is, try to like just talk to them and like get to know them a little bit more and tell them your name and stuff, because I did that and I think that it really helped the process. So do that. Number 12. Oh my gosh, this is like number 3 important. Make everything that you say, write, do, think related to being a flight attendant. If they tell you to write down something about yourself, please, for the love of God, do not write that you have a dog. Although it is fantastic that you have a dog and it's great that I have a cat, that told them nothing, and that was one of your opportunities to speak. So do not blow it. Like, use every opportunity that you have to relate it to being a flight attendant. If it's a question about customer service, relate it to something to do with being a flight attendant. If you haven't been a flight attendant, make it to something to do with something that you would encounter as a flight attendant. You know, if you have safety, like certification, CPR, stuff like that, talk about things related to CPR. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Don't talk about when you worked at a farm. Like, there's no animals on the airline. You're not gonna come in contact with that. So keep it related. Number 13, when you first get there, mingle with these people. Get to know the candidates, get to know the names, get to know who they are, what they like, what they don't. It'll give you a little bit more, it's gonna give you a little bit more confidence because you'll kind of get a feel for the room and you'll be a little bit more comfortable. So those 2 things were super important to me. I felt so much better after I was able to just like laugh and have a good time with the people, and don't do it in a fake way. Just genuinely like ask them how they're doing, how their day is going, what they feel, what they don't, and go for it. And you know, they're all nervous and they're all super excited to be there, and you all are in the same position, so you all have something in common right there. So start there and mingle, because they're watching. I would say you need to always, this is number 14, always find a question to ask. Always find a question to ask. When they say, anybody have any questions? Don't just sit there. This is your chance to shine. Hello? Find a question. Even if you already know the answer to it, find a question. Find a question in your head, somewhere, somehow. Because even if you just say, how many base locations are there? You already know there's 13, 12, 11, 9, whatever. They don't know that you don't know that. Even if you just couldn't come up with one, you can at least come up with something you already know, just to see if they can answer the same, to verify that your answer or that what you think is right. So it's really just, it's that simple. Just be like cognizant of the fact that you don't have very many opportunities to speak, and the more you speak, the more you're seen. So keep that in mind. Become very close with the candidates. when you are, this is the last one I would say, because there are going to be times, at least there might be times, where you will get a chance to show your empathetic side and your relationship and how quickly you're able to build relationships with people. So it's super important that you, when you're in a room with these individuals and they're being called or you're being called or whatever, to really show that the departure from you to them at the table is crucial to you, and that you made such a lasting impression and that they made a lasting impression that you have to like hug it out or whatever. Like I physically hugged like 7 or 8 different people at this this recruitment session. So it was both super rewarding, and I think it was great for me on an honest level. It was so wonderful for me. It made me feel so happy to be able to, like, you know, show that I cared about them as they move forward or whatever was happening. And I think that just being able to do that was so beneficial to me, and it let the recruiter see that I had an empathetic side and I was able to create relationships, and that these people were willing to hug a random stranger that they just met 4 hours ago. So those are my 15 tips. Like I said, that's all that you really need to know. They change the process up so much. What you're reading online is not necessarily what it's going to be like. It changed even from what I expected. I'm not going to go into detail of the structure. There's really no need to go into the structure. It was just an interview. That's all you need to know. And interviews consist of people being asked questions in group settings, individual settings, and doing everything else that they normally would do in an interview. So now I'm going to give you some key things that you need to do. These are different from tips because those are really primarily about the interview process. These are just general tips. I would say first tip, key thing, whatever you want to call it, research the questions, like the type of questions. It helped me out tremendously. You would be surprised how much it will help you, even if it's not the exact question. Just having experience answering a question, the type of question in the format that they're looking for, was so helpful. Eat. When I talked to you guys when I was in Dallas, I told you guys I was going to go get something to eat at the whatever restaurant or something before I called the shuttle. I did go, but because I was so nervous and I had that donut, that's all I had. I had the donut at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was, and a little bit, like 3 sips of my coffee, some chocolate milk, and then I went to the airport, flew into Dallas. I sat down, I ordered sweet potato fries at TGI Fridays, and I was so nervous, I didn't allow myself to eat that food. I just couldn't even eat, I was so nervous. So try, even if you just bring a snack in your bag or something small, try to eat, because, you know, this is so long and grueling process, and you do get snack time, but those are your opportunities to talk to people and to mingle. So you don't want to spend it smacking on M&Ms in front of someone's face. So just be aware of the fact that you need to have food in your system. It is imperative. Don't think, oh, I don't want to be bloated, or don't think that. Just eat. Just do it. Trust me. Also, drink lots of water. Lots of water. I mean, I'm not even just saying this because you need to be hydrated. I'm not going to say why you need to drink water, because they don't tell you why you should drink water, but just drink some water, because you may or may not need to go on demand. And I'm going to leave it at that. Also, along with this exact same concept, hold your pee. Hold your pee. That's all I'm going to say. Hold it. Because when and if you were to maybe have to be asked, like, oh, someone has to pee on demand. Well, if you already peed, you won't be able to pee on demand, so don't be that person. Oh my gosh, bring headache medicine. I'm so happy I brought my headache medicine. Oh my God, it was so wonderful. I had a migraine out of hell, out of left field hell. I was dying. My skull was throbbing. I was trying to keep a positive face, but my brain was, everything was just falling apart. I didn't know if I thought I was gonna die. I'm not even being dramatic. It was so horrible. And the headache really didn't go away until after the entire process was over, and it got really bad going back into the airport to catch my flight home and stuff. So, you know, just bring medicine. You might need it, just do it. Oh my gosh, along with headaches, so important. On my way home on the flight, I'm so happy I went online and changed the flight or the seat that they had assigned me, because originally I was in 15A and I moved my seat to 19F. So just like from window to window, like towards the back of the plane on the right side. And in 14A and B, right in front of where I would have been, there was a screaming infant, which normally wouldn't really get to me if it was a morning flight or if it was just a day flight. But when you just did when you have just went through what I went through, nobody wants to sit there and listen to a child scream for eternity, okay? So just bring something to block out the sound, whether it's your earphones, like mine died and I should have just brought regular ones instead I brought the AirPods. So bring something, earplugs, muffs, whatever you have to do, just bring it. If you arrive early, if you're scheduled early and you don't live in the area of an airline headquarter, they're gonna fly you in, and when they fly you in, like, by all means, don't wait, like, go get something to eat, like I said, and then just go to the facility, because the earlier you are, the more FaceTime you get. You could hear it in the video, I was concerned about going so early, and I didn't know if that was gonna be the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but it ended up being like really good that I got there when I did. And I chose to go earlier. I didn't choose to wait until before and take the shuttle in and be one of the last candidates, because I got to meet all of the recruiters in the very beginning. So get there as early as you can, be the very first person they see so they know and remember your face. Also, when you are going through the process, if you make it to the end or whatever, you'll have a ton of things to do. I'm not gonna go into detail what those things are. If you wanna know, you can message me or comment and I'll get back to you, whatever. Either way, just when you get done with the process, I'll just leave it at that. Don't rush. Don't try to get out of there soon or make yourself seem like you're ready to go home. Don't be like tapping like, oh my gosh, is my flight there? I saw a lot of that. So just be like calm, collected, ready to go. No problem. Because DFW, I don't know about other airports specifically, but DFW really wasn't that busy. And I got there like maybe 40 minutes before my flight. And my flight was at 8:30 p.m. So if that tells you anything, I was there 40 minutes until 8:30 and I arrived at 11:05 at the facility. So that's the day you're gonna have. But yeah, anyway, that's that. I'm gonna leave it here. There's really nothing else more to say. If you are going to a face-to-face in the future, or if you wanna go to a face-to-face in the future and you end up getting it, congratulations, that is an honor. I wish you the best of luck. And I hope that my tips and tricks and pros and cons and my experience helps some of you out in your future endeavors. But in the meantime, I need to go get dressed because I am going to get my best friend Tempest from Charlotte and we are gonna go celebrate. So, bye guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed keeping up with the life of me, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and stay tuned for clips from the next vlog. And as always, keep in mind, positive thoughts generate positive feelings and attract positive life experiences. Bye!